This podcast series is powered by Hype Girl.
All right.
I don't know if we really explained who we were, though. Maybe we did. Maybe that's enough about us.
Okay, so here we go.
Enough about me.
No, you ready?
Welcome to the Do It Ugly podcast. Here are your hosts, Stacey, Lyon, and Jenny King.
So welcome to Do It Ugly episode 2 with Jenny King and
Stacey, Lyon.
We're so excited to be here. We realized because we have no idea what we're doing and we're doing this ugly that we forgot on the previous podcast to tell you ladies who we are. So I think we might have said a little something about us in the middle portion, and maybe you quit listening by then. We don't know. But we want to make sure you know who your new besties are. And so yeah, tell them a little bit about you, Stacey Lyon. Who are you?
I'm Stacey Lyon, the owner and CEO of Beach Nest Interiors. We specialize in home decor and renovation projects for short-term rental properties and investment properties. So if you own an Airbnb or a Vrbo property here in the Myrtle Beach area and you want someone to help you make it fabulous so you can get that mega rating and get as many weeks rented as possible on your property, we are your team to do it. So reach out to us at beachnestdesign.com.
Very cool.
And who are you?
It's Jenny King. By day, I'm a residential loan officer serving almost 48 states in the continental U.S. And by afternoon, and when we can squeeze it in, we are motivational women's empowerment speakers and co-owners of Hype Girl, which we're going to be bringing out a lot of cool stuff. Can't wait to introduce you ladies to it, to get you excited about your lives and what you're doing. But yeah, when I'm not doing that, we're here doing the podcasting and momming and being wives, and that's in a nutshell who we are. And drinking Diet Coke. Cheers. Cheers. Diet Coke, please sponsor us. We love you. So in today's episode, we had a lot of topics.
What are we talking about?
Well, we had a lot of topics, but we talked a lot about parenting in the last episode. And some of our listeners may not be parents, but it doesn't mean that you can't relate on some level to these things. So today's episode is really about being in this world of hustle and being a mom or a caregiver. Maybe you don't have children, maybe you care for a parent or you have a staff that you lead. Really talking about that guilt, that mom guilt, that woman guilt, that thing that you get when you have other things that you're responsible for outside of your career. Yeah, she's ugly. She's a nasty little piece of work.
She is ugly.
And we've all experienced it.
Absolutely.
And I don't
That's how I get through life. Diet Coke and guilt. Are you kidding me?
And prayer, folks. Add prayer and gratitude in that. But I think at the end of the day, there's so many people who would like you to believe that they don't experience it because they're out here making everything look so good because they took some really pretty pictures on Instagram and they've got somebody they pay $1,000 a month to do cool posts for them so you don't see all their shit under the cabinet. But even at this juncture in our careers where we're, finding success, still experience it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can think of just recently, the last few weeks, my business has been off the chain. I have been working till 9, 10 o'clock at night. And it's been a long time since Sophie has watched me work in that rhythm. And I don't like sacrificing our family time, but unfortunately, we're just in a market that dictates that that's what it's going to take. I have a lot of guilt about that. Not even just mom guilt, but wife guilt, because I'm barely seeing my kid or my husband, which is really a bummer.
Time is one of the biggest struggles for me because if I'm giving all of my effort, my energy, my time to my work and my business is doing great, I am messing it up at home big time.
Yeah.
And vice versa. If I am on it, I'm the best wife, the best mom, I've made dinner, like no drive-through, then my business is slacking and I'm not feeding my pipeline. And balance and trying to figure that out has been such a struggle for me, and I'm still trying to figure it all out. So I'm always having a sense of guilt.
One of the things that I love, somebody said to me years ago, was to eliminate the word balance out of your vocabulary, that you have to create a harmony, that it's more like
balance doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist. It's a lie. But it's more like a harmony, like a living and breathing thing, your life, and you have to figure out the ebbs and flows. And honestly, generally, and I'm still honoring this timeline, but it's still happening late at night. So my hours in the evening at 5:30, from 5:30 to 8:30, I'm off limits. Like that's family time only. You can't get me. But after that, after the kiddo's in bed, I'm wide open, and that sacrifices time with my husband, which is such a bummer. So we're really working right now on trying to make priorities by creating just a date night when we can. And honestly, it's been borderline drive-through. Like we haven't been in the drive-through eating, but we've been going to dinners that are so fast, we might as well have been in the drive-through. But it's still the intention of being with each other once a week.
There's nothing wrong with that, having a little beach picnic or even peanut butter and jellies in the back of the car.
Oh my God, you are so cute. Stacey is one of these amazing women who can do all the things. So
I don't know about that, but
a beach picnic would totally be within her wheelhouse. Me, I'm more like, let's go to Taco Bell.
Taco Bell on the beach. I mean, that's what I mean when I say beach picnic. Don't think that I'm at home like making these cute little sandwiches and cutting off the crust.
I feel like you are.
No.
But you would.
I might do that. Like, I do love to be a hostess and I love to
You're
throw
really
a
good
party.
at being a host, yes.
Thank you. I would do that for you, like if we were having, like a tea party or something with the girls, and I would make cute little sandwiches. But no, if it's Mike and I and we're on a date night, chances are it's going to be down and dirty. Like it's Bojangles on the old beach towel crumbled up in the back of my car that I may or may not have used to dry the dog off after the rain.
What I heard was delicious. You said Bojangles and you had me at hello. But, and I am not the hostess. Like I am the worst hostess. You come to my house for a thing, I'm probably barely going to have drinks to offer you. It might be like a great value bag of chips.
You always
in a
have the
bowl.
nectar at your house for me though.
But so, yeah, so this guilt, it is a real thing. And so I think the ability to know that you're not alone in that if you're experiencing that guilt and you feel like, well, how do I choose? How do I choose my career? How do I choose my family? It's okay if you're not getting right 100%, just as long as they know you're trying.
The answer is we don't know.
Well, we don't know, but I will say that
If you know, please message us
call
and
in
let
right
us
now.
know.
Is this a radio show now? Are we doing live calls?
Please text or message Jenny and I, and
Taking our first
please let us
caller.
know your secret.
No, but truly, I think having your spouse and your kids being on the same page is a big deal. And that's one thing that we've recently started is we do family meetings now.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have family meetings once a month. And everybody comes to the meeting with a list of things that they are excited about.
Poor Jay and Sophie.
And they
oh my
come-
God, this was your idea, wasn't it?
It 100% was my idea. But it was my idea because I don't know how they're feeling. I'm an over communicator. My family doesn't communicate. They don't communicate at all. So I never know how they're feeling. So I have to force them to tell me how they're feeling so that I can try to do a better job of honoring their feelings.
Not with you.
You don't like this idea? I thought it was a great idea.
Torturing them.
I'll have you know that they actually really enjoyed the family meeting because they said they felt heard because they
Ooh.
not only got to bring to the table things that they were enjoying or things that we did that they really loved over the last month, but they also got to say, here's some things that I wish were different. Here's some
Okay.
things that I wish were better. And because one of the number one things we hear from Sophie's 10 going on 11 really /45 is that she doesn't feel heard. And I know that's really easy for me to do because I'm just like boom, 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 going in 80,000 directions, being the person I am, our family. She doesn't feel heard. And so to give her the opportunity to actually have everybody stop and listen and say, okay, this is your moment to speak. And there's no judgment. Like if you say we're being total heinous parents, then we have to take that in and figure out what we're doing and where we have to shore up a little. So it's not a perfect science, but so far it's working.
I'm glad
They
to
seem
hear
to be
that's
enduring the
working.
torture.
Okay. I'm so glad for you guys. I'll be curious how many months this lasts.
Well, we're in month 2, so don't get too excited. But, at the end of the day, what I say, I'm great at starting things, Stacey Lyon. We're starting it, and we're going to see where it goes. But, I mean, how else are we going to figure out?
Great idea.
I mean, I thought so until we had this conversation.
Oh my God. So sorry.
I felt really good about it.
Look, we go sporadically. I will get in the mode where I'm like, I'm tired of eating out. I'm going to cook. And then I'll do a really good job for like 2 weeks. We'll eat at home every night. And then we eat around the dinner table. And then we go around and we talk about our days and the peak and the pit and do the whole thing. And then I feel like, yes, we're really connecting. We're being heard. We're
Yes.
exchanging ideas and information, right? And then something inevitably will happen at work. And I don't make it home until 8 o'clock at night and realize, oh gosh, I haven't fed the family. I need to go through a drive-through window, throw some food on the table, and then we're all scattered. And then we're disconnected. So I'm teasing you, but it always does feel better when we do have open lines of communication. I do feel more connected to the kids and their lives and what's going on.
Yeah.
And it feels like the dinner table is a no judgment zone in our house. So I do always hear a little bit more about what's happening in their day and at school.
Well, okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. Let me ask you about this. So, ladies, I don't know how you feel about this, but one of my major rules in life is I don't gossip. I don't like it. We don't do it. And we're not talking smack about people out in the world. We're not talking about you and I venting to each other. That's not the same thing. But out in the world, in other spaces, we do not gossip. We don't talk about other women because I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what your story is, and I don't know, maybe you were a heinous biatch to me because your life is falling apart, and I don't know that. So we're not going to discuss it. If you didn't hear it, if you didn't see it, don't discuss it. And we've been talking about that in the house. But what I'm trying to get to is the struggle that I've been having. So with these open lines of communication, I'm hoping you'll have some insight for me today, Stacey Lyon.
Oh, gosh.
And moms, hopefully this will help you. But in riding that line, right, of trying to not be a person who teaches my daughter to gossip, because there are a lot of women who gossip. Their children pick it up, they take it to school, and it creates this mean girl culture that I don't want her to be a part of. But there's also this like thin line where she comes home to school and she's trying to confide in me things. And sometimes I don't shut her down, but I will say, let's not do that. Let's not talk about somebody. And I'm wondering, is there a healthy balance between letting them vent and share the things, but also not encouraging them to be the kind of person who gossips? Like, is it gossip when she brings it home to me? Because I don't want to cultivate this culture of, bringing the tea, but also I need to give her a space. So I'm really interested in your thoughts on that, because that's been a real area of struggle for me lately.
I always try to keep the lines of communication open with Mel and I, because I know I did not have that with my mom as a kid. So no matter what she has to tell me, I always want to try to reinforce to her, you can tell me anything, and I want to keep that open. When she does share things with me, I try to have the conversation with her about, what do you think that person's feeling to make them have said that? Or we have a conversation about showing grace to someone. Or if someone is struggling, hey, do you think maybe you want to have lunch with them tomorrow or sit next to them in class? Or what could you do to try to help them if you see someone struggling? I'm really proud of her because she is the type of kid that will stand up for someone if she sees someone being bullied. She is the type that will stand up and say, hey, that's my friend, that's not nice. And I'm really proud of her because she has a lot of confidence in herself, and she will do that at her age. And I never would have had the comfortability in myself. And I didn't know myself strong enough at 14 years old to be able to do that, to stand up for someone else, let alone myself.
I definitely was that kid. I was the kid who stood up for other people. It's a wonder I didn't get my ass kicked all through school, quite honestly, because I would boldly stand up for other people if somebody was saying something about them. So it is honestly a wonder that I didn't get into fights. I didn't. But I think for Sophie, she's so markedly different from me because she's not outwardly confident in that way. She's very reserved and introverted, and she would not be the one to boldly speak on somebody's behalf. She is really confident in her own right in certain things, but not in that respect. And so it's really important to me. And she also really seeks validation from other people. As much as we've tried to build her up and build self-esteem in her since she was a baby, that's just innately who she is. She is constantly looking for validation. And so the gossip circle is going to be really easy for her to become a part of, not because that's who she is or who she's been taught to be, but because it will help her feel connected to a group of people, to be included in the conversation.
Yeah.
So that's where my struggle is. It's like, how do I help her break that, but also make sure that I'm giving her space to speak freely at home and feel like I'm her person, because I do want her to feel like my person. So maybe we don't solve all world's troubles here on the podcast, but if you're struggling with the same thing, we'd certainly love to hear your thoughts on, what you're doing to have those lines of communication, because we're certainly not perfect parents. But I think that's the key, right? If we're at least actively trying to learn in these areas, we've got to do something right.
I try to remind myself and my kids, we're human, therefore we are flawed.
Amen.
We are sinners. We are all going to make mistakes. No one is perfect that walks this earth. Therefore, everyone deserves grace. And try to use those moments when they do want to come home and spill the tea to have those conversations and to remind them, show them some love. Treat them the way you would want to be treated.
Yeah.
Although I hear now that there's a platinum rule, not a golden rule. Did you know this?
Oh, yes, the platinum rule.
Yeah, I just heard about this.
We'll talk about it, the platinum rule.
So the platinum rule, well, first of all, the golden rule we all grew up on, right, is treat others the way you would want to be treated.
Correct.
But now the platinum rule is to treat others the way they want to be treated. That means you have to assume you know what they want.
Yeah.
It was interesting to me.
It is an interesting conversation. I think there's probably some positive pieces to that, but there's also some probably really dangerous pieces to that, because now we're getting into this space where we're having to tread so lightly on everything that nobody's standing for anything because they're trying so hard not to offend anyone. And in my day, it was sticks and stones break my bones. And we were still taught to be kind, right? Like our parents instilled in us to be kind. And I grew up in a Christian household, so everybody was about loving as Jesus loved. So we were taught that, but we were also taught at the end of the day, like people are going to say things that are going to hurt you and you just move on. There's a place in there where that has a fit. And then I think there's a place where it's going to make people in some instances very weak. And I hate that for them.
Have you ever heard that saying, you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to?
Ooh, no, but I like that one.
Right. So just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you have to engage. It's okay to walk away.
Oh my God, I walk away at least 9,000 times a week on social media. Yes. I am infamous for typing a response and then being like, oh God, I cannot put that ever. Nope. And erase and move on because, oh my gosh. Like,
sometimes do you feel better when you get it out?
Yeah.
And so I started using the Notes app on my phone. Like if I have something I have to get out of me, but I know I can't say, I will type a letter in the Notes app, get it out, and then I can go back and delete it. I'll never send it to anybody.
Well, and I think the important thing that you said there is can't say. There's nothing that you can't say, right? You can say whatever you want, but we've gotten to...
I wouldn't say?
Right? Well, no, but shouldn't say, right? Because there's a lot of
couldn't.
things that I think in the emotional moment when I'm sitting there and I've read something and now it's emotionally made me, respond in some way. And yeah, I could say that, but who's going to win? Yeah. Like who wins if I say the thing that I say in anger? And, one of my favorite things, my favorite verses, which I can't tell you which one it is right now, but it's be slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen, right? So if you know the scripture, you can fill it in.
2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
And so I just play that over and over again in my head. And when I go to want to say these things, I'm like, nobody is going to be blessed or better than I found them when I allow my negative emotions, because I couldn't hold my tongue in the moment, create some conversation that didn't need to be had. Yeah. And so I love that. I love that you have a process for that so that you're not out here saying stuff that could come back to haunt you. And it's not because
I'm not saying that never happens because again, I am human and sometimes I do say things that I wish I could slurp back and that aren't necessarily truly who I am. I've let my emotion get the best of me in a moment. Yeah. I'm trying really hard to just take a pause and take a moment before I speak. Yeah. And it's something I'm not perfect at, but I feel like I'm getting better at with age, is having some more patience and being able to just stop and remain quiet. Yeah. Walk away.
My husband is a saint, honestly, because, because he is my person.
Yes.
And we all know that we have a tendency to unload on our person because they're our safe space. Yeah. And we know they won't walk away, and God love him. There's probably many times when he's like, I don't know why I'm still putting up with any of this or her.
It takes a strong man to love a strong woman, and I am grateful every day that Mike is still here.
It really does. And so there have been many times when I've said all the things that I wanted to say, and he unfortunately caught the brunt of that. But I think there's probably some women listening who are like, nobody's going to stop me from saying this, and I'll say whatever I want to, and you can't tell me. And there is a lot of that mentality out here today. But I would encourage you to just take a step back and just really ask, like, who wins on the other end of that? Like, nobody's really changing hearts or minds on social media. You bitching and moaning on Facebook is not creating a difference in anybody. And it doesn't make you a soft person or a weak person to have discernment about when to speak. In fact, wise people are slow to speak and really take time to observe and take in what is the value of their word going to be. But it's because she took a moment to really think about it and formulate that thought. And I think that would serve us all well, especially as women, because women can be so catty and it's so easy to just start yapping. And that's why the gossip thing is so important to me, because I don't ever want somebody to hear the tail end of something and misconstrue that for who I am and what I'm bringing to the world. And that's why I'm so adamant about that.
I feel like a lot of people nowadays kind of associate, if I have to show my true authentic self, that means I have to say everything I think.
Ooh, that's good. That's true. They do think that, right?
But they don't stop to think about what maybe they're saying and how it's going to be received, or how the other person might feel hearing what they have to say. And being true and authentic to yourself doesn't necessarily mean you have to say everything you think, but keeping it in doesn't mean you're inauthentic. Does that make
It does.
sense?
It does. It does. And actually, that's a really great thought. And so one of the other things that's really important there is, like, the things that you're thinking right now are related to the season that you're in. Right? Wherever you're planted right now, that's what your lens is. So you could create some life shifting, like trajectory shifting, altering things by the words that you say to someone. And you're only saying it because your lens is impacted by where you are and what season. If it's not a great season in your life, and you've
Keep
suddenly,
your mouth shut.
right? But if you send someone off course, right? Like if you
Yeah.
interfere with somebody else's ability to be great because you can't help yourself. For editing.
Pause for editing.
Where were we? What were we talking about?
I don't know. You asked me a really deep question that I don't have a good answer to.
I don't remember what the question was.
You asked me about something about female friendships and how so many women can just be mean girls. And it's hard, again, to show grace. And you have to remember, hurt people hurt people. I'd like to think that after you had 6 months of wonderful lunches together, that someone's not going to intentionally try to go out of their way to hurt you. But sometimes it just happens.
Well, I don't think that they necessarily intentionally go out of their way to hurt you. I think
That's what I'm saying.
I think at the end of the day, God's going to separate you sometimes from people that you need to be separated from because he hears the conversations that you don't.
Bingo.
And, you know, if
He
they're
knows what's being said when you're not in the room.
and it might not even be things that are actively being said out loud, but it's the way people think of you. Like I can remember I had a girl in my life. If you had asked me, were we going to be friends until we died? I would have said, yeah. Like we were going to be in the golf cart at the senior living center with our tracksuits, like having wine coolers, driving around, you know, terrorizing young
That
people.
doesn't happen to us.
Like-
I'm going to be really sad.
Facts. And if you guys want to join the senior gang, please let us know. We need
There's
a whole
always
squad.
room for more.
We need a squad. But if you had told me that we weren't going to be these women, I would have been like, whatever. You have no idea what you're talking about. And our friendship literally ended in a singular night when we had too much to drink. And in that stupor, she expressed to me all the ways she had felt about me all along that I had no idea. Like all these things that she'd been bottling up and holding about how she really viewed me, I didn't know.
Her loss, my gain.
No, but I'm just saying, like, she's a lovely woman and she's out here doing her things. And, you know, I think I don't miss that friendship because I know that God created that separation because we weren't meant to be connected. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, so if there's somebody who's left you in a season, don't take that emotional stance that, ooh, they did this to hurt me, or ooh, they hurt me.
Right.
Like, don't let it stew. Just go, man, God, I'm so grateful that we had some cool times together and we had some fun.
Sometimes when people are
and move on.
struggling, they do tend to turn inward, maybe, and focus on themselves
But they might
because
also
they're
not
in
be
a season in their life. I'm just saying, I don't think friendships always end for some major disastrous reason. Your time's done together for whatever
Well, that's what I was
reason.
going to say. I don't think it's always because they're struggling. I think sometimes
Yeah.
your season's just over, and that's cool. Now, I will say this. If our season has faded out, and I hear that you're uttering my name on your lips, first of all, you better be pronouncing it correctly, okay? Don't be out here talking shit about me and not getting my name right. And secondly, right, like, let's just make sure you have the details of the story. Like, if you're going to gossip about it, come get the story details for me so I can make sure you're out here sharing my shit correctly. You know what I mean? Like, let's at least do that. Like, at least honor me with that. But the fact is, ladies, when you're up and coming and
I
you're
always
doing
feel like you should believe everything you hear about me, because if you didn't care enough to come to me, then we're not close enough to worry about it. You should absolutely believe anything you've heard about me.
I feel like if people are talking
If
about
you don't know me, who I really am, my heart, my core, who I am as a person, we're not close enough. So go on, you know?
Yeah, no, agreed. But I mean, I just would appreciate the correction of details, right? It's like somebody writing an article about you. Like, just come get it right, okay? I'll give it to you straight from the horse's mouth. I don't hide. I am who I am, and you'll get it. Like, if you know me, you know I'm super weird, and I'm going to say a lot of really awkward things because I'm an awkward human, and that's just what it is. Like, I can't apologize for that because that's just how God made me.
I love your weirdness.
Thank you. But it gets weird, and I know that. But no, what I was going to say was, I think when you're on your thing and you're really doing things your own way, it's inevitable that you're going to have people who talk about you. It's inevitable that you're going to have people who misconstrue, because once you find your space, and I don't care if your bank account doesn't look like a phone number, if you're in your space and in your peace, there's always going to be somebody who is wishing they were in their peace, and they're going to try to come for yours.
Anytime I feel like I've had success in life, define that however you want, that's when the haters always come. And that's when people want to bring you down instead of cheer for you. And that's one of the reasons we're here, is because we don't do that. We don't subscribe to that. We want to be your hype girls. We want to cheer for you. We are happy for your successes,
Yes.
whatever they are in life. We are not in competition with anyone. And we are happy for you if you are winning, however you define that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's okay. Like, when did this become a thing of like, if you're winning, I'm not winning?
Right.
Like, that's a big thing. That's a big thing in school with Sophie right now, is there's a lot of girls who are like, well, she's winning, then I'm not winning. And they're already like harboring this resentment. I'm like, no.
You think
like,
it all goes back to Ricky Bobby? If you're not first, you're last.
damn Ricky Bobby.
I know. I do love that movie, though. Sorry, go ahead.
Dear baby Jesus. I do love that movie too. Looky here. We are all jacked up on Mountain Dew, who is not our sponsor. We're all jacked up on Diet Coke. Okay. No, but I think the reality is, I mean, who knows why it stems, right? It's insecurities from moms who pass it on to their kids or dads or grandmothers or whoever's speaking it into the life. But we have the opportunity to be the changers, right? And change that conversation. It's so much pressure to always feel like you have to be on, right? And if you're consistently who you are the majority of the time, then fine. But, you know, it's also okay to let these different parts of you shine. Like, sometimes I'm listening to certain types of music and I'm feeling more aggressive and I like rap like
Gangster rap.
Dude, sometimes you would think I'm like throwing an album down in a studio. It's so
Right.
hardcore in the car. Or rock. I like, you know, I mean, I like all the things, but it's not just music. But, you know, there are just times when I'm feeling, I mean, even you, sometimes you encounter me when I'm in a mood and my mouth is running off like it's yapping and you're like, okay, well, this isn't my normal girl, but okay, she's here for today. But you got to be okay with those parts of yourself. Like, it's okay that that's who you are sometimes. Sometimes I'm a little harder around the edges than others. And I've just accepted all of those pieces of me, and that makes a big difference.
I'll tell you one thing that I really love about our friendship, though, is that we are able to always speak the truth to one another. So when
Even
when it hurts, when I am off and having a bad day, you can call me out. And I may not like it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to like cheer for you and be like, thank you for calling me out on my BS. In the moment. It may happen a week or two, a month later.
But the fact is, even sometimes when I say something, I might be wrong. And it's okay. You need people in your life who are willing to say, I appreciate what you said. It wasn't correct in the moment because that's not where I was. But I appreciate you thinking of me enough to try and sharpen me. Yeah.
Or to call you on your bullshit.
Yeah. Well, if it is bullshit, 100%.
And to be like, okay, I don't know what you're doing right now. Like, don't put on like the pretty public face. Like, do it ugly. Like, I know who you are. This is not you. What are you doing right now?
Right.
Like,
that's important. It's, you know what though? It's so important. It is so important to have those people in your life that will call your shit and be like, okay. I mean, if that's how you're feeling, we'll stay in this pity moment for a little half of it.
And then, sometimes they say to you, like, I need to just have a pity party for a moment. Can you just give me 30 seconds?
And I do. And I say, okay, we're going to book it on Airbnb. We're going to book it on Airbnb. We're going to stay here for a hot minute. And then we're going to get up and saddle the horses and ride off.
Let's go.
Yes. Are we done whining? Let's go.
Put on your big girl britches.
That's right.
Let's go, Jenny. Come on.
Yes, we are in the South. We say britches. So if you're not from the South, you now are the proud owners.
Your big girl panties.
No.
Is that better?
Ooh, that's for the evening podcast, Stacey.
Do it ugly after dark.
We tease, but we might really do that because we're just weird enough to do it. If you're into it, let us know. We'll definitely make that happen for you. No, but I think it's so true. Like, and so few women get that, but so few women get that because they're willing to accept it.
Well, I was going to say, and part of it is not being able to always deliver that news, but to hear it and receive it, and then continue to have a friendship.
And not fall apart. Fall apart, yes.
Right. Not let it be the dynamite that ends everything. There's something to be said for people that you have history with, I think, and knew you when.
Yeah.
And so you have different types of friendships in life. And I think that's okay.
It is okay. And if you don't have that, right? There's a lot of women who don't have that. There's a lot of women who might have been loners or didn't quite fit in. Like, high school wasn't your moment. Middle school wasn't your moment. Shit, college might not have even been your moment. But that's okay. Like, don't be afraid to make relationships. And I think at the end of the day, like, if you're unsure if anybody is going to accept you, they are. Like, your people are going to accept you. And the more you breathe into who you are and let your weirdness hang out, you're going to find your people. And I think that's the thing. Like, people are so afraid to just show who they are.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I'm queen of the awkward dance moment. Like, at any time, I'm ready to break out into a little,
Oh, I love a good
I'm shimming right
dance
now,
break.
by the way. A dance break.
I like your
anywhere in
We
life.
them rebels everybody wanna talk about. We stay up all night and cause a
Well,
riot.
I mean, I think that's it. Like, whatever those things are, there are going to be people who are going to love you for them.
Right. Well, a lot of people laugh, But that's okay. I can laugh along with it. I know maybe it's ridiculous, but when I feel like moved, sometimes you just got to break out and have a little dance. Like, you have all the feelings and you just got to let them show.
What's the thing about you now as an adult that you're afraid to let hang out?
I don't know if there is anything. Is there something that you can think of that I'm not thinking of? Because
No.
I feel like I'm finally at a point in my life where I'm like all Stacey all the time. I let it all hang out.
Yeah.
Which took me a long time to get here because as a child, I was painfully shy and introverted, which if you know me now, you may
Would
think.
be a shocking
Right.
development.
That would be
Yes.
a very shock. But I was literally so shy. I wouldn't speak to anybody, wouldn't make eye contact. The person that I am now was intentional as learned skill, right? So earlier in life, especially when I was in sales roles, you had to learn to become more outgoing.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there, especially during networking. And so kind of the big mouth that I am now was a skill that I learned over many, many years. And now it feels completely authentic and natural to who I am right now today. But I think experiences, knowledge, things that have happened along the way have given me a lot more confidence in myself to say, this is me. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay.
There's so many different pockets of things that it's nearly impossible to truly relate to every person. So if I had to admit something that makes me afraid as an adult, it's that. Like, this is the first time in history where I walk in a room and I feel like I might make jokes that aren't relevant. So like when I motivationally speak, I have to be really attuned to my audience because there is really a good chance now that I might say something that doesn't inspire or empower the group. And that is a thing for me. Like, that can cause me a little bit of apprehension because I'm like, okay, we're well beyond the years of shared experiences and knowing that we're all going to be on the same playing field. Now there's so many dynamics that I might miss a lot of people. And that for me, I'm trying not to let it be a fear or anything that holds me back, but it really does, because in conversation, especially when you're within different groups, I never want to say anything. I'm not worried about offending. I'm probably going to offend you like 15 different times, different ways from Sunday. But in an effort to bring value, I do worry about that sometimes as an adult, that I'm not going to hit the mark in that way. And it's much harder to be connected in groups of strangers when you know that you don't have 15 points of things relevant to each other. Does that make sense?
Interesting. That does definitely make sense.
Yeah.
I find that maybe it's a little easier because most of the time when I'm in rooms with groups of people, it's because we're there for a common interest. So I'm there because it's a networking event, it's a ribbon cutting, it's leadership training. There's a purpose to it.
Yeah.
And that's what brings us in common and gives us relevant topics to start conversation. I find the best way to connect with people is just learning the story of them. So you can always connect to someone because we're both people. We both have stories. Where did you come from? What was your family like? Do you have siblings? Where do you work? What are your hobbies? I just feel like there's always ways to connect with people and to find ways that we are more alike if you look for it. And it's just like the art of conversation, right? And getting to know people. It's harder though when you're a speaker and you don't have input, right? When you're standing in front of a crowd and you're the only one talking and there's no two-way dialogue.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm coming from.
That's a lot different than...
Because person to person, I can always connect. That's not an issue.
Right.
But yeah, when you're a crowd and you don't have necessarily like a full insight into...
You always bring a great playlist though. And music, I
do.
think, is the ultimate connector for people.
Hopeful, but honestly, I feel so detached from this new generation. Like, I mean, I know I speak like
Bring
I'm
your
80.
90s tunes.
Maybe.
Who doesn't love a little Backstreet Boys
Maybe they'll
nowadays?
like it.
Just saying what's old is new again.
Can we talk about the fact that now, like when we used to say 30 years ago, it was the 70s, and now when they say 30 years ago,
I saw someone post that
it's
the other
us.
day, and
It's
I
us.
literally just freaked out for a minute.
I don't know how I feel about that. It's now us. We're old. Like my daughter literally asked me the other day with the look of disdain on her face, like, you were born in the late 1900s? Oh. Technically, yes. But she was like, so we're like circle wagons around when you were a little mommy? Yeah. I birthed you walking down the valley while we were panning for gold.
That's so funny. I remember when Ben asked me if there was electricity when I was little. Like, how old do you think that I am? Clearly, he thinks that I don't know what he thought, but yeah.
Oh my God. Like, I'm borderline trying to be a great mom and not the cool mom for Mean Girls. You know, she's like, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom with the tracksuit on. Like, I refuse to buy a tracksuit for that very reason. I don't ever want to be
No
like
pink
in that.
velour.
Oh my
Just
God.
on the curtains, not on the tracksuit.
Just on the curtains, not on the tracksuit. Oh man, well, this has been a good episode, and I know we covered everything from mom guilt to friendships, relationships. We covered a lot of good stuff, but you know, we'd love to hear some of the ways that you're working your way through friendships and some of the things that you're, you know, putting into practice in your life. Because if you've got a winning tip that we can come and share, we definitely want to know about it. And yeah, so thank you for joining us again on Do It Ugly.
Have a great day. We love you guys.
All right, see you on the flip side.